Good morning and welcome to Today in L.A. That's Laura, Alabama, for you folks out in the West Coast this morning. I'm Mike Amos. He's Bill Rice Jr., and we're coming to you on a Tuesday, the 28th day of April, live from our studios at Troy Cablevision on South Brundage Street in Troy, Alabama. Good morning to you, Rice. How you doing?
Well, I forgot my baseball hat. As you can see why I wear one.
Well, boy, you look like Robert Redford without a hat.
Oh, gosh. If this hair fell down in my eyes, it would go to my nose.
I just wore this morning.
I remembered to get my coffee, but I forgot to get my Troy baseball hat.
Want to remind you, if you're outside the friendly confines, you heard John Forney say, we're outside the confines of Bryant-Denny Stadium in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, as the Crimson Tide of Alabama goes up against the Vanderbilt Commodores from Nashville, Tennessee. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, as the Alabama partisan across the way starts filling the aisles and the seats across the way. The Crimson Tide of Alabama goes up against the Vanderbilt Commodores. Vanderbilt today in those brilliant gold pants with white jerseys and brilliant gold helmets, and the Crimson Tide of Alabama in the red, white across the way as we prepare to kick off this Saturday afternoon in Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Well, I'm supposed to be Doug Layton.
Thank you, Doug Layton, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, as the Crimson Tide of Alabama kick it off.
It's great to be here today. We had a long night last night, and we've all got our bets in, and we got Steady Man Shealy's going to lead the Tide.
That's right,
today,
Steady Man Shealy.
And he's going to be handing
one of my
all-time
favorites, Stedman Shealy.
Handing that ball off to Major Ogilvy, and Dwight Stevenson's going to be blocking.
And he is hit and knocked down by Leroy Jordan at the Alabama 14-yard line. And the Crimson Tide across the way as Leroy Jordan is lifted up off the ground by Coach Paul Bryant across the way. Alabama takes over. And with only 2 minutes left to play in the ball game, and they lead in this football game 29-0.
From XL, Alabama, all the small town players that played at Alabama and Auburn, how did they get so good? All these little small town kids.
And let me tell you this, and I saw him yesterday. I was outside a little bit yesterday doing work in my yard, and I saw him ride by in his pickup truck. And he was the other linebacker and he played side by side with Leroy Jordan in XL, Alabama. Name that guy.
Oh yeah, Mr. Hancock.
Yeah, Larry Hancock was the other linebacker for the Crimson Tide.
Wow.
No, excuse me, for XL High School.
From the same town as Leroy Jordan.
He decided, Larry had decided to come to Troy to school, and that's where he met his beautiful wife, Miss Abbeville, and of course Larry had made a fortune in the real estate business. Wouldn't you say?
Well, he's worked hard, and he deserves it.
A good friend of mine, and of course he did play on the same team that Leroy did at Tiny XL, Alabama.
How about that?
But you think of some others that came out of a little town?
Well, let's say Don McNeil came from Atmore.
Yeah.
Richard Williamson came from Fort Deposit.
That's right.
Mal Moore came from Dozier.
That's right. That's probably one of the smallest places that he came from.
Let's see. Billy Neighbors came from Northport. He didn't come from Tuscaloosa.
Cotton Clark came from Cobb and Hill.
Pat Tremble came from Scottsboro.
Billy Richardson came from Jasper.
Yeah. So, I mean, they all disproportionately came from...
Joe Kelly came from Ozark.
A lot of Wilbur
Let's
Jackson
think of some of those guys
Ozark.
around here. Yeah, how about the brilliant doctor that played center at Alabama?
From Enterprise.
Yeah.
Galen McCullough?
Yeah, Galen McCullough played.
He's a famous plastic surgeon.
That's right. He was a great center on that team. How about Jimmy Carroll from Ozark? From Enterprise. He played on those Bryant teams back then. And of course, we could go on and on and on.
That's the argument I make, that why Coach Bryant is probably a better coach than Nick Saban is he didn't get the 4- and 5-star prospects from all over America.
A lot of these guys were quarterbacks. You're right.
They were just obscure, small-town players, pretty good players, and then they became good players in college. But somehow you molded all these players into national championship contending teams every year. So it's the old quote, he could take his and beat yours.
Yeah, that's right. I can only think of one player from Greenville that played at Alabama. One player.
All right, Steve says we need to take a commercial.
All right, we're going to take a short commercial. We'll be right back.
A personal touch, a high level of trust. Whether it's checking and savings accounts, personal or business loans, or our local friendly service. That's what Troy Bank and Trust customers expect. But now we offer more. Free identity theft protection for our new and existing customers, protecting your family's time, money, and good name from identity theft. Because protecting your identity is now a big part of our identity.
Trojan Auto Parts of Troy, home of Napa Know-How. Stop by and see owners Mike and Melissa Kilcrease and their Napa Know-How team with over 100 years of combined experience. We're the only locally owned parts store in Pike County, and we're fully stocked and ready to serve you. We pride ourselves on being your go-to parts store, not only for the simple items, but we specialize in those hard-to-find items as well. Trojan Auto Parts, the right part at the right price at the right time. Napa, a name you've trusted here in Troy since 1945.
Napa Know-How. Piggly Wiggly's local butchers are on site at both stores and will help you select the best cuts of meat and trim them to your liking. Our USDA choice beef is the most consistently tender, juicy, and flavorful beef you can buy, all at cost plus 10%.
Troy Cable Security Wi-Fi doorbell camera allows you to answer the door from your smartphone when you are at home, at work, or on the go. When a visitor presses the button, Troy Cable Security sends a live video feed to your smartphone so you can see, hear, and speak to the person at your door. With the doorbell camera, you can have your porch light turn on automatically when it detects motion at night to create the appearance that someone is at home. You can view video clips so you can always know who stopped by when you are out. Troy Cable Security. You love them, protect them.
Back to our show, brought to you by the great people at Sisters, and of course they're taking a little vacation right now because of the
Coronacation.
That's right, and one of the great places to eat in America, Sisters Restaurant on Highway 231. You're on the air. Good morning. How you doing?
Hi. The phones are not working.
I know it. Right now they're not, but we hope to get them back up here as soon as we can. Right now we'll put you on speakerphone. Do you hear us?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, and hopefully we'll be bringing Mike Amos in here on our phones in just a few moments. We are coming to you live from our studios on South Brunny Street in Troy, Alabama. I'm Mike Amos. He's Bill Rice Jr. And on the phone is Michael Amos calling from West Florida. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm calling from Great Beach. It's about to be crazy down here when the beaches open back up on Friday. So, going to be interesting to see how they patrol it. I don't know, crowds of 10 people or more are not allowed. So, everybody's got to be 6 feet apart. And it'll be interesting to see how it all works out.
Now, how are they, if you're with your family on a blanket, they're not going to enforce that, are you, if you're putting sunscreen on your 4-year-old child?
No, I mean, I feel like, they're basically just trying to get, the groups that are more than 10 people.
Right.
And then, they say that the sun is good, as far as this goes. So, I don't know. I don't know how you can police it totally, but, my family, we have a beach truck, and we'll try to keep our distance from everybody else, and hopefully I can keep my girls from running into other groups.
Yeah. And you're going to have a lot more people because the kids aren't in school. So it's going to be like
our kids go back not this Friday. Well, they actually start this Friday, but they actually are going to start preschool on Monday down here, so we're going to have our kids going back to school.
Well, in Alabama at least, and probably in other states around Florida, they're not going to have school. So it's really going to be like summer vacation already at the end of April.
Yeah, I was looking at a lot of stuff on Facebook. Everybody was remembering the April 27th tornado in Tuscaloosa yesterday. Posting a lot of pictures and telling a lot of stories. I was right in the middle of all that.
I was too. In fact, I missed being blown away by just a few seconds. Actually, Bud and I were coming back from Dothan. We were right in Ozark, right when that tornado had already hit Enterprise and was coming to Ozark.
Yeah, well, the tornado in Tuscaloosa, of course.
Oh, that one. Oh, you were thinking about that one.
Yeah, that's the one.
I was thinking about the one that was devastating and killed 8 people in Enterprise.
At the school, yeah.
Yeah, you still see stickers and magnets remembering the victims of that horrible tragedy. Yeah,
that
I
was
remember that one.
Terrible thing. I think of those children every day. You know.
I wonder how long ago that tornado was in Enterprise.
I don't know, but I can remember so well though. Bud Case and I were right in the middle of it, and we shouldn't even have gone that way, and we just barely missed it in Ozark. You know, Ozark was hit after Enterprise.
I mean, I was living on 15th Street where it hit.
I know.
Where the devastation was, and luckily on that Wednesday, I was always getting in my car after work and driving to Birmingham to see a girl I was dating at the time, and everything around.
2007.
Enterprise.
Was that Enterprise or was that?
Because
Tuscaloosa was 2011, and Enterprise maybe was 2007.
Yeah, and of course they ended up destroyed their school, and they built a magnificent school in those kids' honor. You know.
Well, just 2 deadly tornadoes. I was watching the tornadoes from Pike Road, is where we were living. We were watching the news, and there were tornadoes all over the state. I mean, I don't remember a day where there were more tornadoes in more places. But in Pike Road, it was pretty clear. And I said, all right, we're going to dodge a bullet here. Then they come on with the news, and they show an actual tornado, which you hardly ever see in Alabama.
Yeah.
You see that in Kansas and Oklahoma and the Plains all the time. But this was not only a tornado, it was a massive tornado, and it was coming right for downtown Tuscaloosa. I couldn't believe it. And then Michael Amos' house was on that street that was devastated.
Is this Is this the date of that?
Yesterday.
Yesterday was the date.
The 27th.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the 9-year anniversary.
Yeah.
I guess everybody being at home.
Exactly.
And on Facebook, somebody posted pictures of it. It was definitely.
You know, Johnny Williams.
When I went back to try to get to my stuff, I mean, literally, I had to walk probably a mile and a half, and I was out of my condo for 3 weeks at least.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah, of course, Johnny Williams was driving down the road, coming off McFarland onto the 15th Street. I think that's where the diner was. And he saw a lot of it. He actually saw, the
Stuff in there?
Yeah, stuff in the air and everything. It sure was.
Yeah, I mean, it was the closest thing I'd ever seen to like a war zone. I mean, it looked like a bomb had gone off. It was one of the more crazier experiences ever, and people just literally walking around just crying, trying to find their kids.
Yeah, one of the saddest, and there's a lot of sad stories, but the Alabama football player and his girlfriend, and they got in the closet and of the apartment where they were staying, and we're talking about a real strong guy holding on to his girlfriend, and he couldn't hold on to her.
They both got thrown.
Yeah, both of them got thrown.
100 yards away.
Carson Wentz.
Yeah, that's right. He was he playing in the pros, didn't he?
Carson Tinker, yeah.
Tinker, yeah.
Tinker, that's right.
Well, my niece was a student at the University of Alabama, and then so she dodged a bullet. And then a good friend of mine I worked with at the Montgomery Independent, St. James student, had interned there and was a fantastic journalist. He went to Alabama, and I predicted that he'd end up being the editor of the Crimson White, the student newspaper, and he was for 2 years. And he was up there at that time, and I remember all the in-depth special coverage that the Crimson White did of that storm and how hard it was to get that coverage out.
Exactly. It was a very sad omen, no question about it. It just tore McFarland. The shopping center just tore it. I mean, it's just amazing. More people had not been killed because it was in about mid-afternoon when it happened.
I've heard Mike talk about this before, and he said if it would have hit that hospital, which it barely missed.
Yeah, it barely missed DCH. It hit Alberta and destroyed all those neighborhoods. Yeah. I mean, it's still, it almost like jumped the hospital. Yeah. It's crazy how it didn't hit it.
And I'll tell you something about it. That is, if you want to call something Hurricane Alley, that hurricanes have gone down that alley.
Thunderstorms and bad storms.
Through Cottondale, Cottondale and those little communities.
I used to go back and forth to Tuscaloosa to Troy like a lot of us have, and man, I would always hit just the worst thunderstorms at some point in that trip.
Of course, Troy, I got up early Sunday morning and rode through Hillcrest, and buddy, your neighborhood really got hit hard.
It really did.
It's a wonder, because you would have been direct impact if you hadn't had trees in front of you.
It was far worse than I had any idea it was. They're still cleaning it up.
Yeah. And of course, thank God there was no injuries, but there were cars destroyed. That right there tell you a lot about how it crushes cars. And, just think if you were in one of those cars when something like that happened,
Cars, roofs.
Yeah.
Just all kind of utility wires down.
Well, I'm glad I've got Shannon Hughes as my man that came to my rescue, and he finished up yesterday, and my place looks better than it did before. I got rid of some old straggly trees that were about half blown down,
I had half an oak tree from my house blew on my neighbor, Dwayne and Connie Webb's fence. This is a famous fence because they live in the old Tip Colley house, and it's beautiful home, beautiful
that
yard,
is one of the prettiest landscapes.
Trees.
You're right.
And so you got that the whole property is framed by this white fence.
Yeah.
That really kind of makes
that's right.
30 feet of that white fence was crushed by a tree from my yard.
That home.
But now they have already rebuilt the fence.
Yeah. I tell you what, they have a beautiful, beautiful place there, no question about it, and several beautiful homes in that area.
How does that work if a tree on your property affects somebody else's property and falls on a fence? Is that your responsibility?
Well, they never put in a claim on it. Thank God bless them.
We run
that did cross my mind.
We run into that a little bit ourselves, and I don't really know, to tell you the truth.
We were talking about Opal yesterday out in the yard because apparently where I live in Great, the house here suffered a lot of flood damage. And Dad and I just sat in the yard on Crow Hill one night outside our door, and we're just watching trees fall down like toothpicks. I've never seen anything like it.
That was part of a hurricane, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and boy, that really did.
Troy University lost some of the more beautiful trees it ever had during Opal.
I wonder, the power was off for a week, so we missed all the national coverage. But it seems hard to me to imagine many hurricanes that were packing that hard of winds, 130 miles inland, it still had all those huge winds.
I can give you some up-to-date reports on the COVID-19 virus that has hit our country, and want you to know right now, in Pike County now, there's 65 people that have been...
The numbers yesterday, I will say, came down a lot. That was the best day numbers-wise. It was only like 22,000 cases and only like 1,100 deaths, so it was a lot better yesterday. Well,
now we've got the state, the Pike County, we've got 555 tested, is that right? 65 actually are found to be actually have the virus. Is that right?
Yep. Had or have. They might be over it by now.
Statewide, there's been 88 people that have
888.
888, excuse me, that actually tested positive for the virus. 888 people in Alabama. And the death toll in Alabama surprises me a little bit. It's gone to 228. 228 people have died in the state of Alabama. Does that surprise y'all?
That's about what I was
228,
thinking.
yeah.
They projected they thought around 500 people would probably pass away in Alabama.
Yeah. Then the nation, over 1 million cases now for the nation. There's been 56,800 deaths, and then it shows 139,000 recovered. And so closed cases, 195,000. That's nationwide now. Worldwide, let's look at the worldwide. Well, look a little bit more about the nation. Of course, New York leads in the total cases, 298,000, followed by New Jersey with 111,000. Massachusetts, that's Boston area.
It's getting hit pretty good now.
Yeah, that's right, 56,000. Illinois has 45,000. That's Chicago, pretty much. California now with 45,000 cases, then followed by Pennsylvania and Michigan. And the death totals in New York alone, close to 23,000 have died from the virus, and then followed by New Jersey, which it falls off quite a bit. 6,000 people have died in New Jersey. 3,000 have died in Massachusetts. 2,000 have died in Illinois. California shows 1,700 people have died. And
that's amazing that California
Michigan has 3,400 have died.
California with this huge population, I think it's 37 million people.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a country unto itself, really, and they've only had 1,700 deaths.
And of course, on down you can see where Florida has had 32,000 cases, and they have 1,100 people have died from the virus in Florida.
Florida's population is huge.
And
I think that it's popular.
21 million people live in Florida.
Yeah.
There's something to the sunshine and people not being packed on top of each other. That's obvious. As a non-scientist,
I think so too.
Yeah, I live in Walton County. Only has 35 cases, and a lot of those cases were people that were here on spring break, but they had to count them as Walton County because that's where they were tested.
Of course, Louisiana, they have 1,700 deaths in Louisiana, and that's the New Orleans area, and a lot of that they think can be contributed to Mardi Gras and whatever. Of course, Mobile had quite a bit of cases now because of they think because of Mardi Gras, and of course Georgia, Connecticut, and listen to this now. Louisiana had 1,700. Connecticut had 2,000 deaths from the virus in New Connecticut, which is quite a bit. It's several hundred miles from. I don't know if it's that many from.
A lot of people in
New York.
work in New York City live in Connecticut.
You ride the train. Texas had 670. Georgia had right at 1,000 deaths, and that's, I'm sure, the Atlanta area pretty much. Maryland also had about 1,000. Just looking on down, Tennessee had 184. Not that many in Tennessee at all. And Alabama falls down here. There's been 6,500 cases in Alabama and 228 deaths from the virus in the state of Alabama. And then they're followed by Mississippi.
Which states have the lowest number of deaths?
I'm gonna be able to tell you, I think, but maybe not.
South Dakota, Oregon, Arkansas, low, real low.
Yeah, that's right. They're in the mountains.
Utah's got 41. South Dakota's got 11.
Yeah, and that's right.
Hawaii
has another phone.
And of course, the tests are very important too. And here comes a call coming in from right here. It probably is him calling back. We don't know exactly how our phones. That one is dead right there, so we'll be waiting to hear from him just in a few moments on our cell phone. Right now we're having a little technical difficulties. Of course, a lot going on with the, listen to this, out of all of the ratings, there was over 8 million people watched the draft.
I thought it was 16 million. That
Well,
was probably one day. That's probably the first day, and then
yeah. Maybe for the whole total time, you know.
Yeah.
But that was a lot of people are interested in college and pro football, aren't they?
They sure
Especially
are.
pro football.
No sports zone whatsoever. People are hungry for sports. As we were talking about yesterday, people are watching a lot of old classic movies.
Let's see if we can. Good morning, you on today in LA. How you doing? All right, let's get you up here. There we go. Can we hear you now?
Yeah, are they gonna be able to reboot the phone system?
Well, I don't know if they will or not, but we can hear you pretty well.
Steve knows how to do it during commercial breaks.
Yeah, I know it. Well, we're looking right now. We're hearing you loud and clear right now. Mike Amos calling us from Grayton Beach, Florida this morning, as he does every weekday morning on our show, and we appreciate so much our sponsors out there, and O'Horn Beverage. I'm sure they've been busy during this time of year.
Ooh, I hope so.
During this time of crisis.
A great corporate citizen. They always give back to the community.
No question about it. Bill Rice Jr., of course, had suffered, I reckon, from being confined by the virus, but also the storm like to blew your house away. Beautiful home you have over there in those trees.
Well, I got some siding that was blown off. So you're looking at, when you look from the side, from the web yard up to my attic under the gables, I guess you call it, about half of my siding is off. So I'm gonna have to get that.
Bill, you would be a good example from of the Chamber of Commerce, and we've got a great girl running our Chamber of Commerce and does a super job. But you know, you move back home to where you were born and raised, and you've had so many great, and you lived here and worked here, and you went to high school here, and you grew up with all your buddies here. How does it feel to be back in Troy after being away for a while?
Oh, it feels great.
Do people take Troy for granted sometimes on what it has to offer?
You know, you just think about this storm and what we went through, and the people that have been so good to us and checked on us and rallied, and the level of service that Mayor Reeves and the city give. You couldn't get that in Montgomery or...
I mean, like when you call the mayor, this is Bill Rice. Yeah. He knows exactly who you're talking to, doesn't he?
That's right. That's a big thing, is that you can talk to people and they know you and you know them. And the main thing is what kind of life and quality of life you're going to give your kids growing up.
That's right.
I just think that your kids benefit by growing up in a close-knit, small town community where people know each other and they're supported and feel special.
Yeah.
You can get lost in a bigger city and big schools.
But you know, and then at the same time, to be a small town, 20,000 now,
it's not too small,
census, there's a lot going on because of the university. I mean, you could do something almost every night in Troy, Alabama.
I think it's the perfect size. Yeah, you're right. It's a small town, but it's not too small, and it's a college town, which makes Troy really special.
And then it's an artsy town, and you know, you look at the arts program here in Troy, it's just fantastic. It really is.
Well, you got this cross section of interesting people at the college, and then your homegrown businesses that you have that other communities don't have. You just look at the Sanders companies. Very few towns have businesses that are that successful that were started by local people.
That provide good incomes for a lot of people. No question about it.
That's the base and core of your the base and core of your community is sound with those companies, and then with Troy University.
You know something I noticed, I don't know if a lot of you probably have noticed, because one of the things you can do with this, you can ride around in a vehicle and you're not harming anybody, and you can look and see. And
we call those ride-arounds. Let's go on a ride-around.
Well, let me just tell you this. I enjoyed riding around Sunday morning early, real early.
You love ride-arounds.
So how pretty everything was. But
what you need to do is you need to get a Mike Amos ride around through the campus of Troy on his golf cart. And I got one of those, and he took me in buildings and showed me things I'd never seen that had changed since I'd been moving away.
I don't believe anybody can show Troy University or Troy, Alabama any better than I can.
No,
you're right, because I can tell them a lot about history, you know. And enjoy doing it.
Who also used to do that was my father.
Yeah.
And he was famous for it, actually. When people would have class reunions, one of the activities they would have on Saturday to kill time was a bus tour of Troy and Pike County hosted by Bill Rice. Everybody would rent a school bus, or the city, I'm sure, would give it for free. And Dad would take a little hour and a half tour. And
Troy University would do that now. Yeah.
He did it for the Leadership Pike classes at the Chamber of Commerce, too.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you about how Dad would do it for, like, his class. And he'd call up Kenny Campbell and say, Kenny, will you put your airplanes out, the World War II vintage airplanes out. Everybody would get love seeing that. And they do it.
It's like a museum. It's just fantastic.
So you ride out to this Troy airport, and there's 25 airplanes straight out of a World War II movie. I mean, wow.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm in June I'll be 73 years old. And I don't feel like well, I do feel like it, but I don't. My heart's not 73; it's a little bit younger than that. But after your dad died, I said to myself, well, you know, going back with the history now, there's still a few people out there too that can. And of course, one of them's one of my favorite people, Jim O'Neill.
Yep.
Jim, if you're watching, we love you this morning, and one of the great people of all time.
He lives in the most historic house in Troy, probably.
You start looking at influential people, but not just influential people, but just great people that have been through this town. And you know, we talk about different people all the time, but I could give you a long list of
Jim O'Neill lives in Charles Henderson's house.
That's right.
And everybody knows who Charles Henderson is.
And we talk all the time about Jim. Did you wake up, Miss Henderson, this morning? And one thing that tickles me about Jim, and I know he'll get a chuckle out of this, but when we had a storm not too long ago that came up West College Street, now let me tell you something, that would have been devastating if that tornado would have stayed on the ground. It was a lot of damage. Good morning, how you doing? Well, I must have knocked him off. But he was telling me that he was sitting there eating his cereal, and he said he watched and he just noticed across the street that the top of the span house was coming off, and he just sat there and watched it, you know, and so forth.
What do you call that little palladium
cupola
on top?
Yeah, that's the
signature of the house. Thankfully, they fixed it and put it back up there.
Yeah, exactly. Good morning. You're on Today in L.A. How you doing? How you doing? Mike Amos calling you. I don't know how we're losing you, but now we can hear you.
I mean, the phone systems are down. They'll have to be fixed after the show. I talked to Steve.
Okay. Do you? Well, we can hear you pretty good though. How's the weather down there?
It's cold this morning. It's about 55 degrees. But it's gonna be sunny and beautiful. It's gonna get up to about 80 like it did yesterday.
All right. Now, right now, people can go out can they go swimming, or what can they do?
Yeah, if you're in Bay County this morning, where your place is, you could, from 6 to 9, you can go walk on the beach, jog on the beach, play on the beach, get in the water. You can do whatever.
And then what?
But you know, a lot of people
do it from 9 until they let you back on at sunset or something.
Yeah, sunset. They close it at 9, and then from 5 to 8. It's back open again. Tons of people were down there fishing. Everybody's got their PVC pipes, where they put their fishing rods in there, so you run into a lot of that down there.
Yeah.
I was down there, and some guy in his late 50s was doing football drills, exercising down there. I got a kick out of that.
Yeah. Mike,
it was like he was going through a pregame warm-up or something.
And when is it going to be opened up completely?
They're meeting, I think Thursday about opening up Bay County and Panama City Beach full time, and then Walton County is supposed to go full time on Friday. So
I'm gonna come down there.
So that means you can go down there and rent a place to stay. Is that right?
I'm bringing
short-term rentals. That's going to be decided by the governor on Friday as well.
Oh.
So basically everything's going to be, looks like going to happen on Friday. So.
Well, think about all the housekeepers at the hotels. I mean, they've lost their income, and the waiters and waitresses that don't get their tip money. All the souvenir shops. Every town's economy is taking a hit, but at the beach, you can just multiply that times 100. Just all the money that's normally spent there. I mean, look at your job, Mike. I mean, you're selling wine, and the people you're selling wine to are closed.
Yeah, I mean, a few restaurants are selling, alcohol to go. So, if you wanted to get a bottle of Tito's vodka, or if you wanted to get a bottle of your favorite red or white, you can get that with your to-go orders. But not many of them were able to do that. Only a few were.
Yeah. Of course, it is huge.
The big issue down here is, just the amount of people that, rent out umbrellas and beach chairs and, all the stuff on the beach as well. I mean, that's become a huge business down here as well.
Yeah.
You'll have sometimes in certain areas you'll have over 2,000 to 3,000 beach chairs.
Yeah, what is the rule on that though? Sometimes they think they own the beach because and they don't. What's the rule there?
They have over 40% of the beach in Great.
I know it. I mean, what I'm saying, could you put up a tent in front of those chairs?
Yeah, if you get out there early enough, yeah. What you run into on Grayton Beach, which is a really small beach, you also have 10 commercial fishermen.
Yeah, those big boats.
They've also, those guys have been out of work as well. They wouldn't allow them to go off the beach anymore, so those guys are waiting to get back as well. It's king mackerel season down here, and I ran Captain Mike, who lives in Grayton, and he said he usually catches tons of king mackerel and has a lot of extra fish, so I might have some king mackerel coming to me.
Yeah, well, I tell you, that's not the best eating fish. Better skin it all, because that's a strong fish unless you skin it.
I'm not going to eat it.
He actually says he's one of his favorites.
Oh, really?
I guess it's all about how you cook it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly.
But think about all the people that have condos and houses that they rent out, and they have income from that, and that's been gone.
Oh, yeah.
Well, there's a lawsuit going on down with the Walton County, council. There's a lot of people suing down here because a lot of people own property on the beach in Walton County, and Mike Huckabee, the former governor of Arkansas, is one of them that owns property in Walton County, and he's furious that he can't go swimming and go out on the beach in front of his own house on the water.
Yeah, I know it.
So a lot of people are saying, that they, basically it's their constitutional rights that they're taking away from them. So all kinds of crazy stuff going on down here. You got a lot of people that own property down here that don't want people to be, on their beach. They act like it's their beach.
I know it. You don't want to do that.
So it's all kinds of stuff. Some people actually put signs out about not getting near their property.
A lot of people's permits go all the way to the channel, the deep sea channel. A lot of people's.
I mean, our family. I mean, we can use that as an example. I mean, my granddad Roy Crow bought property in Bay County in the early '40s, and back then you owned, the sand in front of your beach house, and you owned, a certain amount of feet out to the Gulf of Mexico. That's just the way the deed worked.
But you couldn't put a fence on the beach though, and tell people they had to walk around it.
You could put a sand fence at the bottom of your property, but you couldn't put it all the way out.
And you might have mineral rights might go with that permit or that
they struck
deed.
They struck a hole in front of your place, maybe, or something like that. So
yeah, but it's going to be back for the good before too long. And of course, a lot of people have property in Gulf Shores. My brother-in-law, he bought several pieces of property in Gulf Shores, and most of their places, a lot of them live in these big, nice condos, but a lot of their individuals have to have stilts, have to have the house built on so it wouldn't flood. It's more of a low-lying area. What I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking to people yesterday, like a couple, and they had bought property at Seaside when Seaside first opened, and we were all joking around saying, yeah, it's like the lots at Seaside when they first opened were $10,000.
Yeah.
And then they said, yeah, we bought some lots on 331 off Chachahatchee Bay. The lots back then on the bay were $300.
Yeah.
It's all about when you were able to buy it out here.
Oh yeah.
The people that really have the money are the people that build these $5 million houses down here now and pay $1 million for a lot.
That's right. Yeah.
Other people are just lucky enough to have it through their families.
Oh yeah.
That's a lot of people. I bet at one time, if you counted the houses at Panama City Beach going over there to where you live, I bet you that 30% of them were Alabamians.
Yeah.
And
of course, it's
I don't know. I mean, a lot of Florida people that have lived down here for years consider this lower Alabama. I see as many Alabama A stickers down here as I saw in Birmingham. That's honest to God truth.
Yeah. Well, of course, hopefully a lot of that.
I actually see a lot of Troy T's down here.
Yeah.
hey, all right.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And of course, good people. Good people.
Well, we've always considered it pretty much our beach, haven't we? Even if it is in the Florida Panhandle, it seems like our beach.
Yeah, exactly right. A lot of elbows and enterprises
You're a
off.
lake person right now, and you had property at Lake Martin. Of course, Lake Martin's on Troy Cable, so you could be watching.
That's right. You sure could.
Now,
Yeah.
Lake people haven't been affected by this at all.
My good friend, Brother Oliver, is probably watching this morning. He loved watching Bill Rice, Sr., on this show, and used to be one of our regular, along with Bud Casey, one of our regular call-in guys.
He was in Dad's class. I mean, there were just all kind of famous people that were in Dad's class.
Brother Bill Battle, and hopefully Bill Battle's doing well.
Nice man, yeah. He was a year behind Dad, and Brother Bill Oliver was in the same class. Mal
Mike
Moore was
Frocky,
in the same class. Mike Frocky.
Yeah. Billy Richardson.
Billy Neighbors.
All those guys there. And of course,
Tommy Brooker, he just passed away. He was a real good player from Tuscaloosa.
Played with Kansas City for years. And, he was also a place kicker, too. Did you know that?
Yeah.
And, of course, one of the main place kickers of all time was a kicking family that went to Alabama. They were from Columbus, Georgia. Name them.
The Davises?
Davises. They were about three of the Davis boys. They were their dads were Pig Davis, I think that's what they call him. And he was the head coach at Columbus High School in Columbus, Georgia. And all those great kickers came out of there.
Then you had two Tiffins.
Yeah, he had two Tiffins, Tiffin motorhome folks. Tiffin probably made more money with advertising for Auburn than they did for Alabama, wouldn't you say?
They got quite a business for them.
Yeah,
I remember the first soccer-style kicker Alabama had was a guy from Hawaii, of all places, named Peter Kim.
Yeah, Peter Kim.
And I've heard that he became ultra successful back in Hawaii, owns a lot of restaurants in Hawaii.
Yeah. Well, we had a great one from Korea. His name was Young Ho Gilroy. You remember him, Mike?
Yeah.
Young Ho.
Dad, if you want to have a walk down memory lane, you need to go on TroyTrojans.com. They're showing the replay of the 1984 NCAA championship game.
Oh, I love that.
On the internet. And I was watching it yesterday, and I didn't even remember half these guys on the team. It was like Randy Walls was the running back.
All right,
Walls. A guy
Walls.
named Doug Brown was in the backfield.
That's right, former quarterback.
Horsted was the fullback. But, man, Lee Hollingsworth made some amazing catches in that game. I mean, I was at the game. I was 8 years old in McAllen, Texas.
He was from Eufaula, and he held for the kick heard around the world. Lee Hollingsworth, the young man out of Eufaula, will hold. The kick will be made by Ted Clem, the youngster, the pure freshman from Georgiana.
Was he a pure freshman?
Pure freshman. Snap back, touchdown, bump. That's the horn going off as the ball went over and through the uprights. Troy wins. Troy wins. The bleachers are, the stands are emptying on the field. There's an old man with a gray hair that's coming across. Surely he won't jump. Surely Roy Crow from Troy, Alabama won't jump. He jumped down off the 8-foot or 6-foot wall and came out of the field. My father-in-law, who didn't get excited about anything other than making money, got excited about that ball game and came out on the field. I think that's probably the only football game he's
Somebody needs to make a Hollywood
time.
movie about that game.
Yeah.
You can actually watch that game though. It's on.
I will love it.
I watched it yesterday, and a guy named Stuart Hawley from Gaston was making tons of tackles.
Stuart Lowry.
Lowry.
Lowry came out of. He was a great one. I can name you pretty much all that
Willie
bunch.
Collins was making a lot of tackles. Kurt Smeltzer was making a lot of
tackles.
Oh yeah.
I tell you another one that was a starting right tackle on that team was Joey Dennison from Troy, Alabama. Did you know that?
How about this? Jake Peavy, the big offensive lineman, like 6'4".
Oh yeah, played pro ball.
No, he was kicking off.
Yeah, Peavy was kicking off. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he kicked off in that game.
I'll tell you something that a lot of people take for granted a little bit. Of course, Mike Turk was great that year, but he was filling in for a guy named Kerry Christensen.
Right, he was the starting quarterback.
And that final drive that won the ball game was quarterbacked by Kerry Christensen, who had coming off injury. Of course, Turk played a lot in that game, but the final drive was by Kerry Christensen. And when they got the ball down about the 30, 35-yard line.
They got it to the 32-yard line.
Yeah, all right. Well, it was a 48-yard field goal attempt.
No, it was 50.
50-yard. Yeah, it's one of the longest in Troy history. And the snapper, I'm trying to think of the snapper. The center was from Birmingham. The snapper was it the guy that used to work on our house, Mike?
How much did the ball clear the goal post by? Was it barely?
No, it went way over. It'd been good from 60.
You can see the highlights. If Scott comes in a little while, you can get him to play it on JohnCoaches.com. You can watch the final kick.
Boy, I tell you what, they were about right.
The play-by-play announcer was great. The color guy, at the last 10 minutes, I don't know if his mic didn't work, but you only heard the play-by-play guy the rest of the game.
Yeah. Well, the game was broadcast on Channel 4 out of Dothan. I think they're the only ones that picked it up with Channel 4 out of Dothan.
No, this is a CBS crew.
I know, but what it was a CBS crew, yeah.
But anybody could pick it up or not.
Dothan had the CBS affiliate, down here,
But, I mean, it's really one of the more crazier innings you'll ever see. The TV crew, the play-by-play guy, thinks Troy has another timeout. So he's can't believe that Troy
15 seconds, 14 seconds, 13 seconds. Will they get everybody on the field? They're trying to get the kicker on the field.
Literally with 3 seconds left.
Hollinsworth will try to hold it. 10 seconds left, 8 seconds left, 6 seconds left, 4 seconds left. Will they do it? Will they do it? Snap back. The kick is up. It is high enough. Boom. It is far enough. Boom. It is good. And Troy wins the national championship over North Dakota State. Final score, Mike?
18-17.
18-17. And of course, just think what a huge thing that was for Troy football.
How did Troy get to 15 points before that?
Rufus Cox also had a lot of catches.
Yeah, he was out of Gadsden.
But how did Troy get 15? Did they go for 2 one time, or how did you end up on that weird point total of 15?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question. I know it was 14-7 at the half.
Yeah.
There must have been a
But I think with a field goal, the score was how many?
Well, Troy
the final score was 18-17.
18-17.
Troy was trailing 17-15 when they kicked
That's
that.
right.
How did Troy get the 15 points?
They must have gone for
2 one time. Yeah.
They must have gone for 2. But of course, now was Michael Thomas from the tight end from Troy? Was he on that team?
No, he came on the next national championship team.
Yeah,
he would have been his senior year in high school.
Yeah.
But Willie Collins and Joey Dennison were
yeah, they
standouts.
sure were. They were on that team.
I definitely don't remember Randy Walls at running back.
Not Randy Walls. It was Lee Walls. Mike. He was from Fort Walton Beach High School. He now lives in Huntsville area. But you know what? He only weighed 170 pounds. He probably ran a 4.7 or 4.8 40. But you know what he could do? He could block. And he was a blocking back. He never ran the ball. He was a blocking back. And the young man...
Danny O'Toole was catching punts in that game as a freshman.
Oh, yeah, Danny O'Toole was a good player. And, of course, he just happened to play behind Mike Turk, and that was pretty tough. And
also a guy, Freddie Thomas. Of course, everybody knows Freddie Thomas, but another guy was making a lot of plays. A guy named Mike Brewster.
Yeah, I remember him. Brewster was a linebacker.
And the
also,
head coach was Chan Gailey, who is going to be Tua Tagovailoa's offensive coordinator.
Chan Gailey still
at
coaching.
the Miami Dolphins.
That's right. And, of course, a great guy and a great young man. The assistant coaches on that team, one of them was Rick Rhodes, and 2 years later, he wins the national championship in 1987 with led by Mike Turk, the quarterback, and of course, the great fullback was
Horsted.
Horsted, yeah.
You know, while we're talking about this, TroyChargers.com, I saw it on Facebook yesterday, and everybody was making comments and making their opinions, and we had even mentioned this before. They basically put out a survey question yesterday, who's the Mount Rushmore of Troy football?
Yeah.
And a lot of people put DeMarcus Ware, O.C. Umenyiora, Larry Blakeney, and Neil Brown. So you got 4 choices. I tell you what, a lot of people don't realize what an influence Johnny Williams was to Troy football.
Yeah, he really was. But, hey, listen.
A lot of people put Sam Bird.
Yes.
Put Jarrell Jernigan.
Yeah.
But that's pretty tough to come up with 4 guys on your Mount Rushmore.
Well, I tell you what, I would definitely have Mike Turk in there. I'd definitely have Sam Bird. They were 2 people that without them we wouldn't have won.
We have talked a lot about that 68 national championship team. They got it all turned around and started here.
And of course, he was a great
Billy
one.
Atkins.
Billy Atkins would have definitely probably been one of them. I could see Sam Bird, Mike Turk, Billy Atkins, and maybe you could throw either Larry Blakeney in there or you could throw Ware in there. You know, Ware, you probably could throw him in there. He was the most prolific player we ever had.
Yep.
I mean, you got to put Coach Blakeney in for 24 years, but a lot of people put Neil Brown in there.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
But let me tell you this, Atkins he was unreal, Mike. He was an unreal guy. He's the one that turned it around. Troy was terrible in football until he came around.
Yeah.
And they brought in
Troy would never be a Division I football program school if Billy Atkins hadn't come to Troy.
Yeah.
They would not. If Billy Atkins had not come to Troy, Troy would not have won that first national championship that put us on the map with Tim Bird and those guys.
That's right. And then, of course, without Bird and without, I'll tell you a guy that come close to it, too, would be Danny Grant. Boy, he was a great wide receiver. But there were several great ones. And but you're right. That would be interesting to see who people would put there.
You know, it's like, let's put it in this. Who should be on the Mount Rushmore of Miami football and Miami athletics? Howard Snellenberger got that program
right. He sure did.
around. Now, he only won 1 national championship, but that got the ball rolling.
Yeah.
And just like Billy Atkins in Troy.
And Michael's favorite player, Benny Testaverde. You remember him?
I mean, quarterbacks, you could go Jim Kelly, you could go Testaverde, you could go
Kozar.
Bernie Kosar, I mean, the list goes on and on.
Yeah, you're right. Boy, it's amazing how good they were back then. Of course,
they had one team
coaches.
that had 6 players taken in the first round of the draft. I've always wanted Alabama to try to tie that, but I thought they had a chance this year, but they ended up with only 4.
All right, if you're going to have Auburn, boy, who would you put there? Of course, you'd have to put Pat Dye there.
You got to go every Heisman Trophy winner. You got to go Pat Sullivan, Bo Jackson, Cam Newton, and Pat Dye, probably.
Yeah, that is pretty good, isn't it? That is pretty good, no question about it.
What about Ralph Chuck Jordan, though? I mean,
Ralph Jordan. How about the 2 players they used to talk about more in that era of Coach Jordan was one of the guys came out of a very little small town in West Alabama, and the other one came out of Fort Walton Beach, Andalusia, Alabama. Do you know who Zeke Smith and Jackie Burkett?
Yeah, I've heard a lot about them.
Of course, Jackie Burkett was a great center that played the pros, and of course,
I think Dad played
actually grew up as a 10th grader at Andalusia High School, and then his parents moved to Fort Walton where he played at Chattahoochee. And of course, Zeke Smith, came from Mike, a little bitty town on the other side of Selma. You know what I'm talking about?
What, Demopolis?
Nope. Bump.
Camden?
What?
Camden?
Bump.
I don't know.
What famous character Coach Bryant used to talk about all the time out of Camden? Do y'all know who I'm talking about? He was out of Camden, Alabama. And well, I'll get it in a minute. But it was
that's on TroyChargers.com right now. If you want to replay the 1984 National Championship game, that's unbelievable to watch. I found myself watching.
Well, you know, I would run if they would run it. If they would run it, I'd say go ahead and run it right now because it'd be a great one to watch. No question about it.
Well, I mean, you could at least get down to the last drive. The last drive lasted. Troy only got the ball at the 15-yard line with a minute and 32 seconds.
You know, for years I did the play-by-play.
They got the ball at the 15-yard line and drove all the way to the 32.
That's right. And the clock was still moving.
Back then, when you got a first down, the clock didn't stop. So Troy had 3 timeouts, but they had to use all their timeouts before they were able to, even make the kick.
No, the clock didn't stop on the first down.
I know. It was. It didn't. I don't think it stopped on the first down. I might be wrong there, but I know this, that they could not stop the clock at the end, and they had to get the field goal unit on the field. And the ironic thing, and I've heard this so many times because I've done the play-by-play like I was fooling around doing it just a while ago at so many speaking engagements I've done over the years. And then after that went through, they would play the fight song, But the thing that was really unusual was they had practiced it over and over. Every day they practiced getting the field goal on the field and getting the kicker set up. And like this young freshman, Ted Clem, who's a great guy, one of the greatest kids you'll ever meet, grew up in a small town of Georgiana and a wonderful family and was a pure freshman. He didn't have time to get nervous. Everybody said, don't you know he was nervous? He didn't really have time to get nervous because everybody tried to get on the field.
That's what Van Tiffin kicking that kick against Auburn. He just ran out there and kicked it.
Yeah,
the longest kick he had during his freshman year was 45 yards.
What, Clem, who you talking about? Ted Clem? Yeah. He was a tall kid, 6'4". I've got that picture in my office with Hollingsworth Holding and Kramer. You remember Kramer, don't you? Played center.
Yeah.
I think Kramer was the center, and of course he was out of Florida. He did a lot of work on my house. He was a real good carpenter, a great guy. But it was just an unreal thing that happened, and it was something that those kids would never
What do you think North Dakota State thinks about this game?
Well, see, they're one of the...
North Dakota State had won the national championship the year before, so they were huge.
If you named a program in football that has won more championships and have been any better than North Dakota State over a period of time, I don't think any football program in the country could compare with what they've done.
I mean, haven't they won like 7 in a row now?
That's right, and they did it pretty much after Troy beat them that year. They looked like the Green Bay Packers. Their uniforms were just like the Green Bay Packers. But in '87, Troy beat a couple of those big teams out of up north and played Portland State for the national championship. And I woke up. The game was played at 10:30 in the morning. It was televised on CBS. It was snow all over the ground, Mike. You remember staying up to about 2 o'clock in the morning, you and your buddies, and you lost your football on top of the motel, and you were trying to find somebody to get it down. You remember all that?
Yeah, I remember. I mean, I was,
But to wake up, though, with the snow on the ground, this is in Florence, Alabama.
That's perfect age, though.
What now?
He was 11 years old.
11 in '87.
I know it. Well, of course, y'all had a ball.
In '84 in McAllen, Texas, I was 8.
Yeah. And, of course, they had snow all over the place the next morning. And Mike Turk, in that game, ladies and gentlemen, they had just voted on what was the...
Best player in the division.
Yeah, who was that? Gosh.
Harlan
Hill Award. And the running back out of West Texas, got it instead of Mike Turk. All Mike Turk did in that championship game, in that big win over Portland State, he rushed for 190 yards and 3 touchdowns. and he had another 70-something yard run called back, or he would have rushed for over 300 yards. Or
he had some passes too.
Yeah. And,
North Dakota State has 16 national championships all time. They've got over 36 conference championships.
Yeah.
But
Nobody could compare with that.
But listen to this. They won the national championship in 83, 1983, 1985, 1986, 1988. So Troy was able to get a couple in between.
That's right. Troy won it in 84 and 87. You're right.
It was Troy and North Dakota State.
That's right. And let me tell you this. You don't hear enough about Rick Rhodes, how good a coach he was. He was a very good coach. Offensively, I remember a play in that game which was ironic. The biggest drive in that game, they ran back-to-back double reverses. How many times have you ever seen that? But they had they ran the wishbone with Mike Turk as the quarterback, Horskill was the fullback. But at one wide receiver was Harris, ran 4-4 now. I'm talking about legitimate 4-4. And then over here to the right was Mike, what was his name? That was so good.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh,
blank.
No, man.
I remember.
Well, you had Harris at one side, and then you had he just got through winning a national. Well, shoot, I can't remember. I want to say Rufus Cox, but it wasn't Rufus Cox. It was he was from South Florida, and of course, what I'm saying, just think of the pressure that put on the defense to have a wishbone you had to defend, and then you had two wide receivers that ran 4-3 and 4-4.
Wow.
And it was amazing. And Rick Rhodes, of course, left and went to Southern Illinois the next year.
Yeah, he always regretted that move. I talked to his son Bobby many times, and he said his dad always regretted leaving Troy.
And see, and he was one of
some more national championships.
And see, he had high aspirations. He wanted Troy to go Division I even back then. And a lot of, in fact, he took Jim Tompkins with him. How good a coach was Jim Tompkins, defensive coordinator? A lot of people knew on that team.
Was Tompkins the defensive coordinator for Chan Gailey too?
And Jay Jeffcoat was offensive line coach.
Great staff.
You had a young Johnny Williams on that side.
And young Johnny Williams, who was, I tell you something Rick Rhodes said to a group of ours. I was president of the Boosters Club, and at one time Ben Beard was there for many times. But Rick Rhodes came into a meeting one day. He said, "Men, guys, we got to do something. We got to come up with enough money to pay for this coach to come down from Florence, Alabama, to be my defensive line coach or defensive coach." And that one guy was Johnny Williams. We paid for him to come down. I think Johnny took a $15,000 to $20,000 loss on his salary. And now you know the rest of the story.
Wow.
Hey, I think the other receiver was Titus Dixon.
Yeah, Titus Dixon. You're exactly right. Titus Dixon and Harris were prolific wide receivers on that team.
And Michael Kelly was the tight end.
That's right. Michael Kelly was the tight end.
From Troy.
From Troy, yeah. Sure was. And then I'll tell you another little story before all of that happened.
Who was the running back in '87? Because Horsted had graduated. Was it Eddie Brundage?
Eddie Brundage was a great runner. In fact, Eddie Brundage holds the record, Mike, for the most yards in one game. I think he gained 245 yards against, I want to say, Jacksonville. You know, Eddie Brundage was from Dozier. Did you know that?
Wow.
Yeah.
From Dozier, Alabama.
Well, take a commercial break. Maybe you can get Scott to pull up the ticket least.
Well, it is a good time to take a break. We'll be right back.
A personal touch, a high level of trust. Whether it's checking and savings accounts, personal or business loans, or our local friendly service. That's what Troy Bank and Trust customers expect. But now we offer more. Free identity theft protection for our new and existing customers, protecting your family's time, money, and good name from identity theft. Because protecting your identity is now a big part of our identity.
Trojan Auto Parts of Troy, home of Napa know-how. Stop by and see owners Mike and Melissa Kilcrease and their Napa know-how team with over 100 years of combined experience. We're the only locally owned parts store in Pike County, and we're fully stocked and ready to serve you. We pride ourselves on being your go-to parts store, not only for the simple items, but we specialize in those hard-to-find items as well. Trojan Auto Parts, the right part at the right price at the right time. Napa, a name you've trusted here in Troy since 1945.
Piggly Wiggly's local butchers are on site at both stores and will help you select the best cuts of meat and trim them to your liking. Our USDA Choice beef is the most consistently tender, juicy, and flavorful beef you can buy, all at cost plus 10%.
Troy Cable Security Wi-Fi doorbell camera allows you to answer the door from your smartphone when you are at home, at work, or on the go. When a visitor presses the button, Troy Cable Security sends a live video feed to your smartphone so you can see, hear, and speak to the person at your door. With the doorbell camera, you can have your porch light turn on automatically when it detects motion at night to create the appearance that someone is at home. You can view video clips so you can always know who stopped by when you are out. Troy Cable Security. You love them, protect them.
We're back to our show, and listen, this is the last second shot. Kick. Ralph Black doing the play-by-play. Oh, this is good.
With 3 seconds left. There's the snap. Clem gets the kicker when there's 50 yards. Good! 50 yards with no time on the clock by a freshman from Georgiana, Alabama, who has never kicked one over 45 yards in his career. And Clem, 50 yards with no time on the clock. His team out of timeout. Troy takes in the national championship by 1.
Was that exciting or not? Was that it?
That's it right there.
That was exciting, and of course, not Ralph Black. He was doing the radio, but the television, that was a CBS crew.
National CBS guy doing the game.
Yeah, exactly, doing the game. It wasn't that exciting, and of course, it went down to 3 seconds when he finally snapped it, and that y'all have been making fun of me about all morning was Bob. That was the buzzer going off while that ball was in the air.
What were you doing while this was happening?
I was watching it. I jumped down on the field after that.
Dad, I heard you in the bleachers cheering a few times during the actual game cast. You can hear your voice.
Well, you know, and of course the game was played right on the border of the Mexican United States border, McAllen, Texas. How in the world that place ever got a national championship game, but they did.
They called the game the Palm Bowl.
The Palm Bowl, yeah. And that was a unbelievable finish to
How many
any
people
game.
were you say were at the game?
15,000 probably,
Wow,
maybe 20.
yeah.
I mean, it was a, you know, I know this. We drove down there and drove back. It was a
How
long
many
drive.
Troy fans do you think made it up?
Oh, that was probably 1,000.
There wasn't 15,000 people that game.
You don't think?
Troy maybe had 1,000 fans.
Did the band go? I can't remember if the band went or not.
Surely they did.
But,
I don't remember.
How could the band miss
But
the
it was
national
something.
championship game?
If Scott is listening to me in the back, all he's got to do is go to TroyTrojans.com,
Yeah.
and there's basically a video clip. I just played it for Dad, and you can watch it. But any Troy fan out there that remembers that team ought to watch that today. That was great to watch yesterday.
I bet it was. No question about it. Of course, won it in 84.
I didn't see it because I was in Tuscaloosa at school, and our TV station up there in Tuscaloosa didn't pick it up.
And then, of course, the game in 87.
Troy was down 14-0 in the first quarter, and North Dakota State had blown out everybody the whole year.
Yeah.
And they had over 500 yards of offense they averaged, and Troy basically just shut them out the rest of the game after the first quarter.
You know, they had some good defensive players. One of them was Willie Collins on that team. Of course, the great Willie Collins from right here in Troy, and he was a real good player on that team. And, of course, Joey Dennison was a starting right tackle. And, you know, these are two guys that Jeff Coat had coached in high school. You know, he won a state championship, the only state championship Charles Census ever won in 1980. You were on that team, weren't you?
I was a scrub third-string quarterback on that
Yeah,
team.
now, you don't call them scrubs, you call them scrabinis. Anybody that knows me knows that those backup guys were scrabinis. There you go.
I held blocking dummies.
I tell you what, Jessica, though, he was a not a UNA guy, but he was a Livingston guy.
Yeah, he was a Livingston guy. Hey, he won a national championship at Livingston. He was on that staff.
That's what I'm saying. He was a big Livingston guy. Mickey Andrews, all those guys were Livingston guys.
And he was real good friends with the Spence McCracken that coached
Yeah, they went to high
Robert
school
E.
together.
Lee
Yeah.
and later at Opelika. They were buddies.
Yeah.
And of course, Willie Slater was a big Tom Livingston.
Well, that's what I was
player,
going to say. Willie Slater was a quarterback on that national championship team and was the offensive coordinator of this team that won the national championship. Willie Slater was a great
He's now
coach.
at Tuskegee, isn't he?
Yeah, head coach at Tuskegee. He's probably won more national championships than anybody in Alabama, I would think. He won 3 as assistant coach at North Alabama. They won three national championships under Bobby Wallace.
Both of them won 3.
And he was on that staff, and he was also on won a national championship at Livingston as a player, and he won 2 national championships at Troy as the offensive coordinator. So that's 6 right there. And then I think he won a small college championship at Tuskegee, a couple of them. He probably won 10 that he's been on.
He's like Mal Moore.
Yeah, great guy too. Great guy, Willie Slater, no question about it. But that is interesting.
The year Troy won the national championship in '84, I was looking at some of the teams they beat. They only beat Jacksonville State 42-39 that year.
Yeah, and let me tell you what happened to that year. That was one of the great wins in Troy history. Turk did not even play in that game. They were quarterbacked by Bobby Godsey. Bobby Godsey, a freshman, Mike, came in against Jacksonville State. And Troy.
No, this is '84. Now Turk's a freshman.
Oh, okay.
Was a freshman in '84.
Yeah, Turk. Yeah, maybe that's right. But now one year, Godsey was the quarterback, and they beat Jacksonville. Mike, I think Godsey. I want to say Turk was hurt, and so was Christensen, and Godsey came in. I want to say and played quarterback but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, Troy lost to UNA that year in '84. They got beat 13-10.
Last second field goal by North Alabama beat them. That was a tough one because
they said an interception coupled with Clem missing a 39-yard field goal with 9 seconds left sealed Troy's fate.
Yeah, that's right. And we sat that same place on the east side is where we watched the game.
And Florence?
On the east side, at Memorial Stadium.
North Alabama beat us here in Troy?
Yeah, beat us here in Troy. They were good. They were good. Johnny Williams played on that team at North Alabama.
Troy beat Central State of Ohio 31-21, and then they beat Townsend State 45-3. So they only had to win 2 games to get to the national championship game.
When Townsend State stayed out of most everybody then stayed out of the Holiday Inn, and I saw them get off the bus, and I said, "Man, we're gonna wear them out." And sure enough, we did, and then played for the national championship. The game was played. Are we talking about Rick Rhodes' team or
no, I'm talking about '84.
84.
Well, think about Troy has been in 3 national championship football games, and they've won all 3. That's pretty good.
That's right, yeah.
3 for 3.
Yeah. And then, of course...
They've been in 1 in basketball, and we lost in a pretty tough game.
Of course,
in baseball, Troy has been in a lot of World Series.
Well, let me tell you this: if you were going to put just all sports guys up there, how could you keep Chase Riddle off of that mountain?
But this was just football. It wasn't
that was just football. Yeah, no question about it. But it's fun to talk about.
Chase Riddle is in the Alabama Sports Hall of Fame. Larry Blakeney is.
Yeah,
I think we got to get Don Maestri in the Alabama.
Yeah, Don Maestri definitely is.
Billy Atkins is in too. Sim Bird's in. Billy Atkins is in.
That's right.
Maestri's not in, but Blakeney's in.
Yeah.
Actually, Chan Gailey's in.
Yeah. In fact, Chan Gailey is in. Yeah, he's in, I think.
Well,
I might be wrong.
That was like 3 years ago.
Yeah, I know it. He did go in 3 years ago.
Yeah. But, I mean, a lot of that has to do with the fact he was, the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, sure did.
Buffalo Bills, and he also coached at Sanford, and he also coached in the World Football League, the Birmingham Fire.
Yeah, but he's actually from Georgia, so that's why I don't get how
he's from America. He's from Americus, Georgia.
He's from the hometown of Colin McCrary.
Yeah, that's right. He and Colin were friends too.
Yeah,
and,
he helped recruit Colin.
Let me tell you, Gailey loves to play golf. He just loved it. And,
He was a nice guy. He was across the street neighbor of my grandmother and was always sweet to her. I remember when he became the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, I had the Troy Citizen newspaper, and Andy Murphy was one of our writers. Yeah. And Andy just called him up. He said, "Can we get an interview?" And you would think the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys isn't going to give the little Troy Citizen an interview, but he gave Andy a long interview.
Sure. And, no question about it. You know, it was amazing.
Yeah, him and McInerney, they would come over. I was his son and Peyton, our best friends. I used to spend the night over his house all the time, and they'd come in late all the time. And I'll never forget, they loved cold pizza. You know,
cold pizza.
Cold pizza. Yeah. They would leave it in the refrigerator, and they would eat the cold pizza when they got in. But he was like one of the nicest guys ever. Coach Gailey was.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, my friend Charles Bradshaw's daddy, and he was the one who brought Chan Gailey to Troy. So Coach Bradshaw deserves a little credit.
Yeah. Well, I tell you though, who brought Gailey was Doug Hawkins. He had a lot. See, Jim Tompkins was a great coach and a great defensive coordinator. He actually desered the job.
I'm not talking about the head. He brought Chan Gailey to town.
Oh yeah, that's right.
As an assistant coach.
That's right, exactly. He had brought Chan Gailey, Rick Rhodes, and
Maddox
and Maddox, and all of you. You're exactly right.
So who was Ronnie Cottrell under at Troy? Was he under Bradshaw or was he under? Yeah,
he was under Bradshaw.
He'd never played football, but he.
That's right. I remember when he came to Troy, and he brought his wife and a couple of children, and they looked about as homely looking as you could get. And that kid, you know, if he hadn't got in a little trouble, he might have been a head coach at several places. Yeah. Don't you think?
He had his reputation as a
great recruiter. He had a good reputation as a great recruiter.
Yeah.
No question about it.
Well, he's been a great coach at Mobile Christian.
Back to Gailey, I'll tell you how loyal Gailey was. Of course, you know, I was quite involved with Troy back then, and you know, I have been ever since. But really was involved in it back then. And I was sitting in my den one day, and when he pulled into my driveway, it was just me and him. He said, "Mike, I wanted you to be one of the first to know that I am leaving." And and of course, we both cried. We were both very good friends and everything, but Gailey was a class guy, no question about it.
Yeah, still is.
And he was, he cared about.
I have always pulled for him.
Well, I'll tell you a little bit about him, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of times, especially back then, if they played out west, they flew out there. I've seen this happen with my own eyes many times. They might not get back until 4 o'clock in the morning. But at 8 o'clock or 8:30 every Sunday morning, he was teaching Sunday school at the First Baptist Church, and he never missed a time teaching Sunday school at First Baptist Church.
Yeah,
and I'll tell you something else about him, too.
They say Saban's the same way in Tuscaloosa. One of my best friends goes to church, and they say Saban never misses Mass in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, of course, the all-time winner of that would be Maestri. He goes 3 or 4 times a day.
Yeah.
But I will tell you this, that Chan Gailey was a deacon in the First Baptist Church of Troy. There hadn't been any guy since, you know.
Yeah.
Now Clifton might have been.
He'll be perfect be a mentor for Tua Tagovailoa at the Dolphins.
Oh, yeah.
They'll hit it off.
Their religious faith will be big.
Yeah, exactly. And, of course, Gailey and his whole family are just wonderful people. And so was Jeffcoat. Oh, man. I'm gonna tell you something he did one time, and this will break your heart. You know, not too long ago, he died of cancer, and he fought it about as hard as you could fight anything. And a bunch of his old coaches and a bunch of his players all went down to Pensacola to visit with him one last time. And right before they left, he called everybody in there and said, "Guys, I appreciate you coming so much, but let me tell you, there are 2 things that can happen to me, and both of them are great, would be great. First would be they find a cure for this disease I've got, would be great. And then the other thing is, guys, and I want all y'all to hear this, I can't wait to go see my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ in heaven." Those were the two great things that could happen: either a cure for cancer, or I will get to go and live with my Father Jesus Christ in heaven forever and ever. J. Jeffcoat said those words, and I'll never forget it.
Well, he was
one of the most courageous men I've ever known.
He was a man of principle, and he was stubborn in a lot of ways.
Yeah, exactly.
But he was in his own way, he was a fine, fantastic football coach. And I didn't play offensive line, but from everybody I've heard, they say he's one of the best offensive line coaches in America.
And of course, he left Troy at that 80 championship team, and went on and coached at Troy University, on that 84 team eventually, and what a great job he did. And
I'll tell you one thing about Jeffcoat. He knew everything going on with his players. Like, I mean, if we were out too late, he would hear stories. He would come up to you in the middle of class, like when you're walking to class, hearing if you had been somewhere the night before. I mean, it was one of those type things. He just knew everything. It was crazy.
And he was not.
I tried to play offensive line for him. I was probably his worst offensive lineman ever.
But he taught that short step that was.
The thing with Jeffcoat, it was all about technique. I mean, like if you watch film with Coach Jeffcoat as an offensive lineman, and he was all about how you pulled your arms, the steps,
and getting all your weight into the blow.
He was just an expert, and the majority of the offensive linemen. I mean, we had Brent Williams that played Alabama State, 6'5", 315 pounds.
Yeah, we're going to take a short break. We've got this on film in a minute. We're going to take a short break and see if we can bring it on. We'll be right back.
A personal touch, a high level of trust. Whether it's checking and savings accounts, personal or business loans, or our local friendly service. That's what Troy Bank and Trust customers expect. But now we offer more. Free identity theft protection for our new and existing customers, protecting your family's time, money, and good name from identity theft. Because protecting your identity is now a big part of our identity.
Trojan Auto Parts of Troy, home of Napa Know-How. Stop by and see owners Mike and Melissa Kilcrease and their Napa Know-How team with over 100 years of combined experience. We're the only locally owned parts store in Pike County, and we're fully stocked and ready to serve you. We pride ourselves on being your go-to parts store, not only for the simple items, but we specialize in those hard-to-find items as well. Trojan Auto Parts, the right part at the right price at the right time. Napa, a name you've trusted here in Troy since 1945.
Piggly Wiggly's local butchers are on site at both stores and will help you select the best cuts of meat and trim them to your liking. Our USDA Choice beef is the most consistently tender, juicy, and flavorful beef you can buy, all at cost plus 10%.
Troy Cable Security Wi-Fi doorbell camera allows you to answer the door from your smartphone when you are at home, at work, or on the go. When a visitor presses the button, Troy Cable Security sends a live video feed to your smartphone so you can see, hear, and speak to the person at your door. With the doorbell camera, you can have your porch light turn on automatically when it detects motion at night to create the appearance that someone is at home. You can view video clips so you can always know who stopped by when you are out. Troy Cable Security. You love them, protect them.
All right.
Hey, we're back to our show, and ladies and gentlemen, just in a few seconds, we're going to be showing you the kick heard around the world when Troy University beat North Dakota State 18-17 for the national championship. The game was played in McAllen, Texas. The kick was made by the great
Ted Clem.
Ted Clem.
1984, Troy's first Division II national championship.
Rebecca Amos ran onto the field.
That's right.
Chan Gailey was the head coach.
That's right.
Mike Turk was one of the two quarterbacks that split time.
But this final drive was led by Kerry Christensen, who just happened to be the uncle of Troy's.
Brandon Silvers.
Brandon Silvers, that was so good.
Right.
Yeah.
I forgot that. That's right.
They were from Foley, Alabama at one time. Silvers from Gulf Shores.
Well, this.
But this is something we're doing just because we just want to show it to you.
We've been talking about it all show.
Yeah.
Anybody out there who wants to watch it, just go to TroyTrojans.com and then click on football, and then there'll be the video there.
Well, I'm going to sure do it. That'll be a lot of fun to watch.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, Bill Jackson Chevrolet Ford in Troy. Also, my good friends at Premier Dodge Chrysler Jeep and Ram Trucks on the bypass. Deals like you will not believe today.
So we had the national
Premier.
championship in 1968. It was NAIA, first national championship for Troy Athletics. Then you had 16 years until this one.
Yeah.
Had some pretty good Troy teams in those 16 years.
We're going to go off the air with this clip here. And, of course, I hope you enjoy it.
I was reading an article, Kansas coach Les Miles and Kansas basketball coach Bill Self and Jeff Long, the athletic director, had to take a 10% pay cut in response to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Golly.
That's going to happen more and more.
Okay, let's see what we got here.
We appreciate Scott.
Yeah, we do. And this is something that we threw in his lap, and he's doing it for us out of his own.
He's trying to pull a video from another website and get it on our cable.
The biggest thing is getting the audio over.
Yeah.
Oh.
The audio, you know, we if you can't do it, then we can still see it.
We can definitely see it.
All right. You might not be able to hear it, but you're
Look at
going
that
to
Hook's
see
Barbecue. We had Hook's Barbecue on Sunday.
And you know what? I believe they're making more money being closed in.
Good.
I mean, you wouldn't believe how many cars were at the Hook's Barbecue.
Yeah, my wife went after church. She sang in the church choir at First Methodist, and then she went straight to Hook's.
And I'll tell you something.
She said they were doing
I'll
good
tell you
business.
something. The best deal they got is half-fried chicken. I mean, half-grilled chicken. Boy, that grilled chicken
I
is
need to
wonderful.
get that. I just get the
Wonderful.
barbecue pork plate and the
Really good,
baked
yeah.
beans and coleslaw
Exactly.
or potato salad.
And of course,
Hooks
we're
is
working
really good.
hard on bringing you this final second dig.
I think that Tayabi might be able to stay today, Mike.
With only a minute and 47 remaining in the first half, Troy State trying to get on that scoreboard and not go into the dressing room down by 14. Gary Christensen.
We're going to show
The two
this.
quarterbacks, used by Chan
Oakland
Daly. He's
Raymond
going
is
to throw
all
again.
I'm holding for.
Deflection.
Yeah, no, what are we going to do about getting a half
Cox
cut?
at the
That's
10.
exactly right.
My wife
Just
keeps.
tell Scott to show about, play the clip.
Just show them play. And don't worry about the sound. Just worry about the play. This is a last-second field goal. There was no timeouts left. The kick would be from 50 yards out.
Stand by.
And we're fixing to show it to you, ladies and gentlemen, right here on Today in L.A.
A blast from the past.
Last two plays.
Last two plays of the game right here.
Thank you, Scott.
The first time will be trying to get the team
Get
on
in
the
position.
field.
First you gotta
pass.
get-
It was a completed pass, and then had to get the
They
team on
probably
the field.
felt like they had to get to the 35 at least, don't you think,
Yeah.
to make it a 50?
Before it was just a
Here we go.
The drama couldn't have been greater.
Here we go.
Drama getting this on the show is great.
Yeah.
we're literally seconds left.
Yeah, we're gonna do it. They're gonna let us have it. Here we go. Here we go. This is Troy in white with gray pants and red helmets.
Well,
Here
it's
they
not-
are setting up for the field
Well,
goal.
it's not on.
We'll get it.
It's not on, Mike.
All right.
Something happened to it. We don't know what.
That's all right. We're watching it on the other monitor
Yeah,
over
that's
here in the
right.
studio.
Of course.
See, you can show it on that, and I can show it on this.
They do look like the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, they were really good.
How did North Dakota State get so good?
You see it?
It's the only game in town, one thing. It's the only team in North Dakota. Well, I don't know. I think the University of North Dakota and North Dakota State, too.
Well, why didn't North Dakota State go
They had the
Division?
young man, the freshman from...
There's one program that could go Division I and make a splash. It's
Yeah.
that one.
This is the 1984 National Championship game. Ken Gillies, the head football coach at Troy. And we had it. We might not have it anymore, but you can go to... Again, where can you go to?
Here we are, everybody.
Well, we have only 29 seconds remaining, but all of them are going to count.
We'll listen to the
There'll be
broadcast.
nobody leaving the field early on this one tonight, I don't think. The situation is this for Troy State. They have the ball, third down. And
This is Christensen, the quarterback.
He rolls out, gets tackled at 32.
And then we had to get the team on the field there with the kicking team. Watch this. This is it. Troy's in white.
Christensen, the quarterback.
Harry Christensen, the quarterback. And what a play by this. And he turns up and he's down about the 33-yard line. And then the kick will probably be from the 40, from the 40, 7 yards back. And this is the kid from Ted Clem. We'll let you hear it.
Try the field goal. It'll be a 50-yard attempt with 3 seconds left. There's the snap. Clem gets his kick.
And watch how far that ball goes through that upright. And look at this woman.
No time on the clock by a freshman from Georgiana, Alabama, who had never kicked one over 45 yards.
One of those guys is
There's Mike somewhere.
50 yards.
oh yeah, Roy Crow too.
His team
I see Denison.
Troy State wins the national championship.
Yeah, Rebecca was with us too, Doug.
That's Coach Gailey. Oh yeah, Rebecca, my daughter, was with us too.
He has a great picture of him and Lori picking up his wife and spinning her
Yeah,
around.
that's right. Yeah, that's Coach Gailey and his wife Lauren.
The man of the hour.
That never gets old right there.
Yeah, sure does.
Look at that. Agony to beat all.
But they won 23 national championships.
Now watch this field goal. It was all a hurry-up proposition.
And look at this kick from
The ball
Clem.
comes down nicely on the tee.
And look how far it goes through those
Well,
uprights.
they were trying to block
See
it.
how high those uprights are. And look how that, look at where that ball goes through from 50 yards out.
If the guy jumps off the other side of the tackle, he blocks it.
It does, yeah.
And he kicked it.
Here's Clem.
Watch him after he
Kept his head down the whole way. He knew it was good. A little bit he kicked it. Hollingsworth is the holder. That's a lot of great kids right there, I'll tell you.
50 yards. It is a
You can't get chill bumps out of that. You can't get it from anything, you know.
championship.
18.
And we appreciate Scott. Troy wins the national championship 18-17. You can go to, what is it again, Mike, real quick?
TroyTrojans.com
Yeah.
and click on the football link and you can watch it on the internet.
Yeah. Thank you, Scott.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it very much. And I hope you have
Maybe
a great
tomorrow
day.
we'll get a clip of the 1987 national championship team.
Yeah, tell me early enough.
Okay, good. And that was wonderful. Hope you have a great day.
Ted?